3 months in my freshman year in high school, and things have started to change my life. And even on the week of Thanksgiving of 2014 was very unique, unlike any other. The Monday before was like around the upper 60s, I believe. And that's saying something. And it also became, I think, for the first time in my life, a white Thanksgiving, as there was snow throughout the entirety of the Keystone State from the day before to the day after. But one thing that was unique for me was that this Thanksgiving was my first time to celebrate Thanksgiving outside of my hometown, but also my county. I celebrated somewhere else. And no, for those of you thinking, nope, I didn't went to New York City. Instead, my parents, my sisters, and myself went to a little down southwest of Pennsylvania near Altoona to surprise my aunt, who was celebrating, if I remember, was her 60th birthday on Thanksgiving Day. In order for us to surprise her, we stayed at a Comfort Inn hotel in preparation for the surprise. And a good head start, too, because of the snow. Only downgrade was that, despite me going back to that hotel like in the late 2000s and early 2010s, the Wi-Fi was down. And it didn't go back up until the day after Thanksgiving, and I was a bit upset about that. So much so I regretted not going into the indoor pool at the hotel. Although we did went to Wendy's next door for dinner, and I got Wi-Fi there because I did have my first iPhone since that summer of that year, to see a preview of the inflation for this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Where this year, I watched it through my hotel room that I was at. Now, you might be wondering, did I record it? Yes, through our VCR DirecTV we had at the time, now we have Xfinity, and through the VHS, and this would be the last year I would record through the tape. Because back in the summer of that year, if many parade fans know, 2014 was late July, early August, that some previous years of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, mainly from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, were starting to appear on YouTube, and the current years as well, which why I would stop doing that old school routine through the VHS. As for the parade itself, other than Ray Chu taking the helms as the conductor, there were also 3 events. Although it didn't fully snow, it did become the second year ever in the parade's history to feature that weather. First one being 1989. The most new giant balloons in terms of 8, 5 new versions of previous balloon characters, and 3 debuts, including one of my childhood icons, Thomas the Tank Engine. Also, shout out to the Philadelphia Little League team, which featured their star Monet Davis on leading the parade. Second time the Little League World Series has a connection to the Macy's Parade. I will be saying this right now. I think 2014 is one of the best parades ever. Minus the rookie NBC crew, I believe, that did not know how to use the camera, as most of the balloons appeared mainly on the right side of the screen. One of the biggest reasons why this is one of the best parades is because it has one of the best song rosters in the parade's history. Why? Because 95% of these songs you can get in any digital platforms, almost making it close to being a 100% completion fan-made soundtrack. I will say that this ranking of these 28 songs was not that easy, so mainly the judgment comes from their performances in the parade will determine on which positions these songs will be placed on. This is my ranking of the songs from the 88th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Number 28, Give Thanks by William Blake, The Peaches, and Michael Thomas Murray. The bottom 3 are the 5% of the songs that can't be available digitally, although this one is available on SoundCloud. This and the other 2 in the parade are exclusive songs, and begins with one of William Skimmerhorn's final songs I believe he wrote for the Macy's Parade, with Give Thanks, that is performed by New York natives William Blake, The Peaches, and pianist Michael Thomas Murray. It's just basically about the Thanksgiving holiday in a span of 2 minutes, nothing special. However, Williams' voice does make this sound good, and it is funny that one of the streamers landed on the Chloe the Holiday Clown balloonicle. Number 27, Every Kind of Day by the cast of Sprout. For their tribute of being thankful and kind, the cast of Sprout's programs returns for their 3rd parade, with DJ Chica, as we can call her, Star, Nina, Carly, Tim, Caitlin, and their new member of the Sunny Side Up show, Emily, performs Every Kind of Day. Although Kindness Counts from last year is their best performance, this would be their second. The music that was chosen doesn't feel like any of them from their programs or promos from their channel, and even the lyrics are kind of forgettable. Making it so upbeat, on the other hand, makes it really good. And it is nice that Nina joined with the Sunny Side Up team. Too bad Star couldn't come down to join with them, although he does get one line. Let's also give it a clap for Chica for being an awesome DJ here. Number 26, Growing by the cast of Sesame Street. In what is to be the final year of the classic modern era from the 90s to this year on Sesame Street, it's mainly because it does mark the end of some of the well-known human characters on the show, except for Alan, as the cast of Sesame Street joins for another parade with an exclusive song, Growing. This song is basically about the show in general, and it's kind of like a farewell to the original 1-hour format of the show. And I love how a lot of the Muppet characters that barely had any singing in the parade's history had a spotlight. Not just Cookie Monster, Grover, Ernie, and Bird, but even Rosita and Telly by all means. Too bad for Baby Bear, though. Number 25, Can't Stop Dancing by Becky G. Now we're coming into all the other songs that you can fully get in any digital platforms, if I'm correct, as we start off with the 17-year-old Rebecca Maria Gomez, better known as Becky G. After doing collabs with artists like Cody Simpson, she started releasing her own music with singles, including 3 for 2014, which this third and last single she released in the beginning of this month, Can't Stop Dancing. Honestly, out of all the songs outside of the bottom 3, this one is the least memorable. It's not a perfect song because it kind of does tease me a bit when I think the song is about to end and being close to 4 minutes. The parade, I felt like it doesn't have that impact on kind of quick the song is, a couple of camera issues, and as much as blue is my favorite color, not really a fan of her coat here. Number 24, We Are Done by the Madden Brothers. During a 3-year hiatus, Good Charlotte's very own twin brothers Joe and Benji Madden went on a duo career, and still to this day, even when the band got back together a year later with their own songs, including their single, We Are Done, which would become track number 5 of their debut duo album, Greetings from California, just in time for their second parade as a family. Another song I kind of have not got back to in a while. Mainly it's not that upbeat as I thought it was, and I don't sing along to it, except for the main verse and the air syncs of the sound of the guitar. You know, the dun 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 dun. The parade did felt short a bit as well. At least it had a better portion of the song, which is the beginning, and it does have better use of lyrics unlike Can't Stop Dancing. Ironically enough, a year later, Benji, the guitarist of the duo, would be married to Cameron Diaz the following year, just to shock some of you guys if you did not know. Number 23, it's The Hard Knock Life from Annie by Quvenzhané Wallis. 2 years ago, she made her big screen debut in the 2012 film Beast of the Southern Wild, which earned 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture and Best Actress in a Leading Role for its star, Quvenzhané Wallis, who became the youngest nominee in that category at the age of 9. 2 years later, she would be the first notable girl in color to play the title character of Annie in the 2014 film adaptation of the musical Annie, set to be released on December 19th. And we got a preview performance with the now Oscar-nominated actress, along with her fellow cast members from the movie, Zoe Margaret Coletti, Nicolette Perlina, Eden Duncan Smith, and Amanda Troya, all performed the second number of the musical movie, one of the most popular numbers, It's the Hard Knock Life, which is track number 3 on the film's soundtrack. To no shock, the movie did got a lot of bad reviews, and probably shows us why Cameron Diaz hasn't acted in a while. Although I never saw that film, this rendition is actually good out of context in a modern way. Like I have talked about in the 2012 ranking on the Broadway revival of Annie, there are a couple of songs that you do not know what is a Christmas song or not. Santa Claus is mentioned in this, but it's not really about Christmas. I also like how they are all in costumes from the movie, kind of like how the performance from the movie Hairspray with Nikki Blonsky back in 2007. And and even their expressions on how they are dealing with all the chores they have to do and they don't like it. Number 22, Winter Wonderland by Renee Fleming. Now here's an actual Christmas song. Instead of doing a soprano opera performance like she did back in 2006, this time Renee Fleming goes into a different route with a Christmas album, Christmas in New York. And with the snow falling down, it makes sense she performs the first track of her album with Winter Wonderland. So how can she do without using any of her soprano voice? It's a hit and miss. Sure, she really worked well in her style, but I'm not sure of the music. Maybe the music could have been a bit better, so I do prefer Kenny G's rendition that he performed back in 1994. Ironically, this rendition does feel quicker than I remembered, as it is close to 4 minutes. It also does come with a feature artist, which is the trumpetist Wynton Marsalis, as stated in the album, and like always, it's hard getting both artists to perform together. Also, is it just me, or does the style of the music would fit in a holiday episode of Blue's Clues, especially the instrumental break? I'm talking about the original series. Number 21, Lie a Little Better by Lucy Hale. Starting off the song roster in the parade is a well-known actress who went big on the show Pretty Little Liars and the beginning to become a recording country artist, and this year with her debut album Road Between, Lucy Hale performs track number 8 that would become a single release, Lie a Little Better. What a great song to start the roster of the parade. Now you might think because of me recording this year on the VHS, this would be my first song I would go back to, right? No, I will explain later. However, it is still a great song to start here. Great use of the first portion of the song and how a normal actress can have a different career path in going into the music industry, something that Lucy has done before she went into country. Even though the song may be a bit long, it's still great for me to be excited on what was to become an amazing parade. Number 20, Dangerous by Before You Exit. For their third year, Macy's had their iHeartRadio Rising Star contest, and the winners for this year was a boy band from Orlando, Florida. 3 brothers formed themselves as Before You Exit, performing one of their singles, Dangerous, and they are one of the first and only artists to perform on the Smurfs float. Interesting concept of loving a female criminal that you might get in trouble instead of her. More on the music video, very creative by all means. The parade did feel like a little incomplete, but we all know what the highlight of this performance is. It's Papa Smurf! Look at him digging to the beat of this man, although it would make more sense for Smurfette and Clumsy Smurf, not Papa around his age. Number 19, Best Day of My Life by American Authors. When the Cracker Jack float made its parade debut, the artist was originally supposed to be Hilary Duff. I do remember this because this was on the parade site. Due to some scheduling conflicts, she had to drop out, and her replacement could have been any better with American Authors by performing their hit from last year, Best Day of My Life, that would be added in their debut album, Oh What a Life, as track number 3. Yep, this is a hit I really do enjoy listening to and singing along to. I would say this turned out better than what it was originally going to be Duff's second parade. Big reason I think that this was a perfect float placement for American Authors to be in. Mainly because of the song was playing during that year's coverage of the Little League World Series, which that was also my first year I did start watching those games. Only thing why isn't on the bottom half is the parade. Very odd, because I don't know why the float stopped before entering into Herald Square. The portions of the song was a mixed bag, and of course a lip sync fail right at the start. Number 18, Lips Are Movin' by Meghan Trainor. When you think of the songs from 2014, one of the big ones that was released was called All About That Bass by a 21-year-old recording artist named Meghan Trainor. When I saw her, I was expecting her to sing that song. Nope. Instead, it was her other big single hit, Lips Are Moving, which would be added to her debut album title as track number 11, which the album did receive mixed reviews, and some did compare this song to All About That Bass, which one of the lyrics is, about this bass. I can see where this is coming from, although I think this is better than All About That Bass, no trouble, of actually being more upbeat, And like American authors, I think putting her on the Goldie Blocks float was another perfect fit, because this float kind of feels like it's in one of her music videos. Although I will say I was a bit disappointed it wasn't her big hit, because it makes sense on that float. Number 17, Somebody to You by the Vamps. Ending off Hess Corporation's participation with the iconic Bridge to the Future float is British boy band The Vamps making their debut album, Meet the Vamps, by performing track number 3 that got a single release, Somebody to You. Another very underrated British boy band song here. Heck, this was even nominated for a Teen Choice Award for Best Love Song. It also does come with a featured artist being Demi Lovato, which she works well with the song, and as you know, she can't be with them in the parade. And I can't tell if they were singing it live or not. Definitely an instrumental sync fail on the drums, not sure on the vocals though, since it is a bit of an audio difference to the main version of the song and the one in the parade. Number 16, The Middle of Starting Over by Sabrina Carpenter. This year, Disney Channel aired a spin-off series of the ABC TGIF show Boy Meets World with Girl Meets World, where it focuses on Corey and Tobanga's daughter Riley and her best friend Maya, who the latter was played by Sabrina Carpenter, a fellow Pennsylvanian by the way. When she released her debuted extended play, Can't Blame a Girl for Trying, by performing track number 2 that had a single release later on, The Middle of Starting Over. A lot of people had compared this song to the early works of Taylor Swift, but takes it as a pop song rather than a country one, and I can see where she's going from. And her voice felt so like that Disney Channel vibes in that modern way. Even on the Pirate Booty float is another perfect fit to be in, since the first portion of the lyrics is out to sea. Great use of the middle of the song, no pun intended. Even Pirate Booty is dancing along to the main verse of the song. Number 15, New York, New York and Times Square Ballet by the cast of Broadway's On the Town. Remember how I stated that Lie a Little Better was not the first song I go to first? Nope. Instead, for the start of the broadcast, and when I recorded this on a VHS, we actually begin with the opening number by the cast of the third Broadway musical revival of On the Town, from the parade starting line at 77th Street in Central Park West to Herald Square to conclude it with the entire cast at the end, with the performances of the song New York, New York, with a reprise at the end, and it's not the state's theme by the way, along with the dance number Times Square's Ballet in the middle, which ends Act 1 of the show by the way. Unlike the other years from 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, 2014 was the first year I really paid attention to the Broadway performances, or mainly the pre-parade acts. And since I did record this performance, it really stood out to me, just the whole atmosphere of the song, not just for your excitement for New York, but also for the Macy's parade. Only thing is the actual Times Square Ballet is long at 5 minutes, although the orchestra is good and it works better in seeing it than hearing it, which it did work well for them in the parade for a shorter dance break. The fact that this was, I believe, the first year that a Broadway musical opened the televised event, especially making sense the theming of the musical, this number showed me that I was going to get a great song roster and a great parade as well. Number 14, Chillin' It by Cole Swindell. Last year, a brand new country singer made his debut called Chillin' It, that would become track number 2 of his self-titled debut album. His name is Colden, or for short, Cole Swindell. Another song about a girl, huh? That's 3 already on this ranking, but there's more coming. Now into the country realms we go, and it's actually really good. A calmer road-style attraction with The One You Love, even the main lyrics are good, kind of similar to last year's ranking with Cruise and Don't Ya. My feelings don't have that impact as I used to, and I feel like it fits right here on this list, which is odd because I did jam to this when I was a little younger. Number 13, Santa Claus is Coming to Town by Pentatonix. If there's one a cappella group you would immediately think of today and consider the most popular in the modern era, is Pentatonix. Fresh off of winning the 3rd season of the Sing-Off back in 2011, they released 2 albums, now with their 3rd and first Christmas album, That's Christmas to Me, as they do their rendition of Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which is track number 9 on the album. This is my favorite rendition of the song. Scott, Mitch, and Kristen's voices are toned perfectly with the great beatboxing going on. Only thing is I wish Scott and Kristen's parts were in the parade to make it even with Mitch. And Pentatonix would be a parade favorite when they appear with a Christmas album. And this is my favorite one out of the 3 years they would perform at the moment, if they ever make a fourth one. Number 12, When You Say Vegas by the cast of Broadway's Honeymoon in Vegas featuring Tony Danza. Based on the 1992 Andrew Burbank romantic comedy movie, Honeymoon in Vegas was turned into a stage musical that started in 2013 in New Jersey, starring Tony Danza, a name I've not heard in a while because I known him because I watched a Yabba Dabba Doo celebration 50 years of Hanna-Barbera that was on YouTube during its early years before it was no longer on site, but it is on the Internet Archive. Danza takes the helms of this musical that would go into Broadway in 2015 with previews going on, and for a preview performance, the cast led by Danza welcomes you to the world of Las Vegas on Broadway with When You Say Vegas. Another performance that stood out to me, although I didn't record it through the VHS, it's just that warm, wonderful feeling of you being in Las Vegas, and there are some great lyrics to it. There are some differences between the parade and the cast recording album / the show itself. First, the character in white clothes, Buddy Rocky, is the one who starts the number, while Danza does his part in the parade. The Find a Machine is Danza's part and not Rocky. And the two couples are not in the number at all. I will give it this, they did change the lyric nicer hookers than Jersey City to lower taxes than New York City, because no surprise here, I hate taxes, especially higher, and I prefer lower taxes, and Vegas is also the infamous home of Elvis impersonators. Number 11, Eres Mia by Romeo Santos. We got another love song here about a girl, this time in Latin. After many years of being the lead vocalist of the bachata group Aventura, Romeo Santos went on his solo career in Latin in 2011 with Formula Volume 1. 3 years later, Formula Volume 2 would be released in the beginning of the year, and track number 6 would later get a single release that he performs, Eres Mía, which means You Are Mine. For someone who is 14, soon to be going on 15, not ready yet for non-English material in the entertainment industry, whether it be music, televisions, or songs, I was surprised that this song was actually great. So much so, I can sing along to it, even to do an impression of his singing voice in this song. I think out of all the Latin songs that were performed in this decade, I believe this is my favorite. I have to wait and see when we go through the second half of this decade. I wish there was more in the parade. Yeah, the first 85 seconds of the song, but I wish you would have added the English part of the song and the ending to it, and the bongo player was out of sync, although the gold mic on Romeo was a nice touch. Number 10, Pirate March and I Won't Grow Up by the cast of NBC's Peter Pan Live. Although not a critical hit, the ratings of NBC's production of The Sound of Music Live were successful, so the network decided to do another one, this time based on The Boy Who Never Growed Up, the musical Peter Pan, starring Allison Williams, Christopher Walken as Captain Hook, and Taylor Louderman as Wendy, which I did not know until I was going into this year. Ready to be live on December 4th, and we got a preview parade performance before the event. And unlike last year when Carrie Underwood was supposed to perform, but instead got interviewed because something happened, Allison did not have to perform here, but the others did, as the Pirates, minus Hook and Smee, do a 43-second number, Pirate March, and the Lost Boys and the Darling Children do I Won't Grow Up without Allison, which are track number 5 and 11 on the event's soundtrack. And unlike The Sound of Music Live, Peter Pan Live was very mediocre by critics, although I will say out of context of this event, these two numbers are really good. The parade audio is a bit different, except for the Lost Boys chorus of I Won't Grow Up, since the soundtrack was not released yet. Both versions of Pirate March are great in their own. If you combined them both, it would have been amazing. And without Allison performing with them, just hearing the boys and Michael and John's voice and nothing on Wendy is odd without our title character. So I think the soundtrack does it better for the latter. A massive improvement of The Sound of Music Live's performance last year of doing two great upbeat numbers. Number 9, I've Decided to Marry You by the cast of Broadway's A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. Yep, what a title of this comedic musical is. Your Tony Award winner for Best Musical of 2014, as 3 cast members of A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder performs the number that is the most famous one to promote, I've Decided to Marry You. So how can a comedic number would be a bit higher than some of the typical Broadway ones? Listening to it doesn't really stand out. When you see it, and probably with context, it's hilarious, which I think the audio used for the parade with the sound effects, especially on the doors, works so well, which you can't hear on the album. The vocals are also different. While the stars, Bryce Pinkham and Lisa O'Hara, were still going, the original actress for Phoebe, Lauren Warsham, left the show a month ago, because I think Lauren's voice worked better than her replacement that we heard in the parade. Also, the opening bit of the doorbell, go into the bedroom, shut the door, be very still, part was not in the album. And Phoebe's opening part of the number when she arrives is not in the parade, not even in other telecast events like the Tonys. You might also notice that Sabella's hair, played by Lisa, is curled up than it actually is in the number, probably to avoid the wind blowing on her. And I also think Bryce's voice works better here than in the album, because the volume he gives on Monty shows on how nervous and being very careful he is of having Sabella not to be seen by Phoebe. The highlight of the parade is without a doubt the "be just a moment" part, in which is very dull on the album by all means, so I think I should now go. Number 8, Ready to Play by the cast of Broadway's Sideshow. Back in the first episode of this series, on the 1997 parade, I talked about a stage musical based on the Joy twins, Daisy and Violet Hilton, Sideshow, with the number We Share Everything with Emily Skinner and Alice Ripley. Now in 2014, a revival on the Broadway musical just opened, directed by Oscar-winning filmmaker Bill Condon, with Emily Paget and Aaron Davey taking the helms, with a bunch of guys in suits to perform one of the new numbers of the musical, Ready to Play. Already to state here that this is better than We Share Everything, which that number is not in this revival, probably because of that Egyptian theme might have not suited well for today, and make it more for a debuted way for them to play, since Condon may hit this revival in a darker approach, although not in this number. There is an audio difference, as the album of this was probably not released yet, and also one is more expressive than the other. No offense to the ladies, but one of your foreheads shows us that, and it is more quicker than the actual number, although the suitors part to introduce them was not added. It's a shame, despite some positive reviews of this revival, it only lasted 56 performances in a span of 6 weeks, ending the short-lived revival in the beginning of 2015. So, no more time to play with them. Number 7, Brother by Need to Breathe. Christian rock band Need to Breathe has been performing since 2001. Now with their 5th album, Rivers in the Wasteland, they perform a non-religious song, track number 10, called Brother. Like Chillin' It, I think it does belong in this placement, and unlike that song, my feelings are better here by singing some parts to it. I just think it is a bit long, close to 5 minutes, although it doesn't feel like 5. The parade could have done better, some major audio differences, and the portions are fine, although the snow at the end and the Spirit of America cheerleaders kind of going along with it at the end was a highlight. There is also another version of this song for its single release that actually features our friend Gavin DeGraw from last year's parade. That single version wouldn't be out till February 2015, so you're going by the main version here for the parade. Number 6, Show You Off by Dan and Shay. Before Speechless, Dan Smyers and Shay Mooney started with their debut album being released this year, Where It All Began, and right so as track number 1 that would be their single hit as Dan and Shay Show You Off. Unlike Brother, I basically sing along to this song entirely. The country rock music, their vocals are duo, the uh-oh part, and even the whistle at the beginning. I think the parade was almost incomplete. I would have had the instrumental opening when the hosts were about to introduce them and finish the ending portion of the song. Oh, add to the checklist of songs about a girl from this year. Number 5, Jealous by Nick Jonas. On the top of the biggest romance songs about a girl goes one of the songs from 2014 that everyone knows. Nick Jonas, now in his own solo career, released his second self-titled album this month and performs his most popular single hit that would be added as track number 2, Jealous, which mainly refers to his then girlfriend at the time, Miss Universe 2012 Olivia couple before they split up around the following year, and has returned for his third Macy's Parade without his brothers Joe and Kevin. It's my right to be hellish, I still get jealous. Yes, I do sing along to this in both forms, as this popular song belongs this high on this list. A mixed tone that was very unique, and seeing that Nick continued music on his own, he definitely knew where he was going into his career than just being a Jonas brother. Revisiting this, I will be honest here, I think Nick did perform this live. You can maybe hear his own backing vocals on the main verse, yet the audio you're hearing feels like it's not re-recording or lip-syncing. I think the biggest proof is nearing the end, where he does the, oh, that's why. That happens 2 times in the song and for the performance. The first time, he forgot the oh part or missed that. Now that is a charisma that we need, and I have to gotta give a hand to Nick for doing this live, because that probably shows it was live. Which makes sense to be at number 1, if only I think they would have added a little bit like more lyrics like that. You're the only one invited, like that phrase of the song nearing the end to make it more of a complete performance here. Number 4, Classic by MKTO. MK means Malcolm Kelly, T.O. means Tony Aller, as these two form as a duo. Back in the summer of 2013, they released a single hit called Classic that would be added to their self-titled debut album as track number 2, MKTO. Being over a year old, a rough start, and now it's a big hit, and the parade shows you that. The portions of the parade were good, although I think they should have finished it instead of Malcolm's rap. This song does have a lot of great homages to different artists in different decades and other things as well, from Michael, Prince, Marvin Gaye, Sinatra, and even Beyonce. My only critique here is that it is a bit of a fast-paced song, because you might not understand some of the lyrics, like, out of my league. I thought for a bit it was, but how can I be? And when I first heard this years ago, because of the names being mentioned in the song, I thought they said Muhammad Ali. Number 3, Show Some Respect by the cast of Broadway's The Last Ship featuring Sting. Gordon Sumner, aka Sting, released his 11th album called The Last Ship, and throughout the first half of the decade, he's been trying to get a stage musical, and the songs from this album has also been trying to throughout a year or so. Well, the musical that Sting wanted finally happened. Opened the end of September, The Last Ship now becomes a Broadway show, and on December 9th, Sting himself decided to join the cast. And for a preview to see how he could do on a Broadway performance, they do one of the numbers that he doesn't take the lead in, specifically for the musical number, Show Some Respect. As this performance feels like it's a celebration if you're looking at this out of context, with the original one being the main female lead, does a good job. But I'll be honest, Sting did it better. And even when there is a cast recording album of this musical, there's no re-recording version of this show with Sting. Not even this version as like a bonus edition or something. Here's the thing. Out of all the Broadway performances, the one that stood out to me the most back then when I started to get used to these Broadway shows was this. Mainly because of the opening bit, and Sting's voice feels like he is in character more than just being himself. Gives us not just that best Broadway performance of the year, but to all the musicals of this year for being a standout, it got me into the pre-parade acts now, as I got older. Number 2, Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss. When you think of a rock song, the first to jump forward is the 1975 classic Rock and Roll All Night, track number 5 of side 2, now would be track number 10 digitally, from the album Dressed to Kill, the third from a band known as Kiss. 2014 marked their 40th year, and for this occasion on Thanksgiving Day, after the Spirit of America cheerleaders did a cheer routine of the song, Kiss themselves, in person, performs their most popular hit at the world's famous department store. If I didn't put this at the top, it would be a crime, and sure enough, it does still stay at the top. I mean, I don't think there's not a single person here that I know does not hate this song. I think my first time when I heard this was probably, was that electronic toothbrush commercial. Now seeing them in the Macy's Parade for the first time, performing their hit, is a highlight to the 2014 parade, with the flames and smoke that were shooting up, which might have a different sound to it if you were there in person compared to us what we heard on the television, and even Al Roker was shocked. Of course, you can't use the audio of the original, so it does make sense to re-record this for the event, and even encouraging the audience to sing with them. Only thing that keeps them from being at number 1, unlike Nick Jonas, they didn't sing it live, as it was a massive sync fail right at the start, both lips and instruments alike. Even the camera didn't pan to them at the beginning, just right at the Adventure Time balloon, and you see they didn't start when the music started. 40 years of rocking and rolling now in the parade, we of course have to say to them,
we are not worthy! We are not worthy!
Turkey stuffing, apple pie, and kiss!
Number 1, All I Want for Christmas Is You by Adena Menzel. Over a year ago, Adena Menzel's career became a massive changement when she performed in the biggest animated film of the decade, what was the highest grossing animated film of all time for a while, and what was Disney's biggest impact of the films of the 2010s, if you do not count Marvel or Star Wars, being the woman behind Elsa in the 2013 hit movie, Frozen. Now she's back for her third parade, and for those who were worried she was going to perform the Oscar-winning song Let It Go, nope. This holiday season, she released her fourth and first Christmas album, Holiday Wishes, and track number 6 is her rendition of Mariah Carey's hit, All I Want for Christmas Is You, to end the celebrity and song roster for one of the best parades ever. What better way to conclude the roster with somebody who's now big for many younger fans? Sure, Frozen was getting some hate at the time, but if you go just by her in her career, it's wonderful now she's bigger than just being a Broadway star and a recording artist, especially with her iconic voice. And this rendition is so great from beginning to end, even if it's at 5 minutes, and I will say this here, right now, that many people are going to hate me here. Adena Menzel's cover is 1,000,000% better than the original version by Mariah Carey. Here's the thing. Yes, I know that's saying something, but for someone who thinks that radios plays no one else's cover of the song but Mariah's, and how the news media are obsessive with her, like Taylor Swift today, they need to take a break on Mariah and focus on other great renditions, including this one by the Snow Queen of Arendelle herself. Which is why Adena Menzel's phenomenal rendition of this Christmas classic marks the best song in the 2014 Macy's Parade. Thank you guys for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and hit the like button. It is sad to see this year go, because this parade, I was glad to revisit it. But we have to continue to start the second half of the 2010s, as we're going to start on a conga line, if you get my reference, to 2015.